Hey, ladies and gentlemen. So, this was brought up to me today, and it's been brought up to me a million times, and I haven't talked about this in a while, so maybe this will help you out. When you buy a pump, the wires that come on the pump have nothing to do with the install. Please remember that. The wires that are on the pump that they give you have nothing to do with the install. The installer must understand what he is doing when he's running wired. Well, they put 10 gauge on the pump. That has nothing to do with the install. It is up to the electrician to know how to run a wire to a battery with the proper amperage, the proper overbuild, right? Because you never build amp to amp. This is one of your weakest points. A lot of you guys too want to run as short as possible to the battery. The problem with running shortest to the battery, guys, when you come on and off that gun, this wire never has time to cool off, okay? So you're trapping the heat in here, okay? Whether it's on the negative side or your positive side. And what happens is when you heat this up, that's how these micro switches burn up and these relay packs burn up. I pulled it out so you guys could see it the other night in my video. But people say, well, why not just use all the same wire? Well, certain wire you can't bend, and certain builds, because they're compact, right? You have to use tools, step down stuff, and design stuff differently. But this, I believe, is one of your biggest problems. Stop looking at the wire that comes on your pumps. That has nothing to do with the install. It's just like if you ever installed a ceiling fan in your house. The wire that's in the wall, you can't do and twist what comes out of a ceiling fan. You're not going to rip all that wire out to replace it, right? But you are putting thin wire on a really thick wire to run back to your breaker box, right? That's the same as 12 volts, guys. But that's what I'm trying to teach you guys. If you don't give it the correct path, enough room, you are cheating your pump out of distance, performance, and everything else. I hope this makes sense. I'm not trying to make this into, oh wait, sorry. I am making it a little bit longer. So that's the pump side, right? So the wires on the pump have nothing to do with the install. Let's say it together. A lot of you guys don't read, so I printed this stuff out again, or some of you don't get the manual, or you missed this. You guys need to print out your manuals. You need to read. It explains everything here on the electrical. It's like on that 50 amp pump I was working on. He has it in there, 50 amps continuous. So you're not going to build it at 50 amps. That's amp to amp. There's no room for when you're creating heat by coming on and off the gun all the time. Okay? So these have a thermal cutout. That's why a lot of people like these better. They also, which I showed you, is they raised the relay in them. That's another reason why they're better, because they took out their 30 amps. Same reason. This is what I'm telling you guys. Think about what I just said. This is exactly where I'm going with this. So this puts it together. Y'all, some of you guys like to haggle me. So listen to this. 24 amps, right? Max. When they used to put the 30 amps in here, they used to have problems, right? What number is this? 24 max, right? Okay, let's stay on track. So now, they used to put a 30-40 in here. Why did they change the 30-40 guys out? Because they understood that 24 plus the surge and everything else that I'm explaining to you, that 30 amp cannot handle it. So they put a 40-60 in. This is what I'm teaching you guys. They already stepped their stuff up. They fixed their problem. So you ain't going to have relay issues and micro switch issues as long as you have better wire. This is why we used to tell you guys to take these relays out and put solenoids in place. If you're on and off the gun a lot, these are plastic. They melt. I've showed you a bad relay that literally melted. That's how much heat 12 volt pulls on these pumps. When you see these things melt, that's how dangerous 12 volt could be, guys. So that ties why I say 10 gauge cannot be used. Do you see what they did? They went to 8 gauge setup. So they're not using the littler relay because they didn't give themselves enough room. Now they did. Now you guys aren't having problems out here. They fixed the build. I've spoken to them a bunch of times. I told you guys that. I call all the companies. So one of you guys were asking me about this chart. And this is something you guys have to understand. When you're running a wire, right? Say this pump, right? When you create pressure, which you need a gauge for, that I taught you guys, these numbers is going to give you these numbers, and then it's going to pull this from your battery. It is explaining, if I want to run 90 psi out of my gun, I need 29.2 amps. That's almost 30 amps. Why you're not supposed to be using 10 gauge. Again, that is amp to amp, guys. I'm glad I printed this out. This really makes more sense. Same thing here. So the tip will change the draw, as well as because you're creating pressure, which creates resistance in the power. The more pressure you create, the more that pump's got to work. So it creates more amps. Okay? So that's how you tie the systems together. I already showed you the battery. I showed you the wire. I showed you the chart. You guys need to read. Rapid on and off cycling is limited to no more than 6 times per minute. That means you cannot come on and off your gun more than 6 times in a minute. This is like I tell you guys, set your timers for dwell time for 10 minutes. Because a lot of you guys go on these guns, on and off the guns, way more than 6 times a minute. Watch the videos. Even in the pumps, where is it? Continuous duty zones. You still have to let the motor cool down. It is recommended when it's hitting temperature. Another reason why you're not supposed to install these in the sun, because they have a thermal. If you're in Florida or somewhere out west that gets really hot, and you put these directly in the sun, you're hurting yourself. You know what I'm saying? This is part of building. You have to understand what's going on. How to put A, B, and C together properly. The only thing you really need out here right now, since I've taught everything and Remco put that big relay, step your wire up to a bigger wire to the battery. That's the only thing that really needs to be fixed. If you're using, a good switch and the correct breaker, and you're doing your voltage drop test. The pump should always see 12 volts, guys, never less, even on the charge up. When it's charging up and getting the surges, it shouldn't go under 12 volts. When you go under 12 volts, you start sending dirty voltage. That creates resistance, it creates heat in the lines, and this is when problems go wrong. So, that's pretty much all I wanted to teach you. But one more time again, it's 24 amps. They changed the relay out from a 30. Like I said, 30 is too small because you don't give yourself 125 to 150 over the surge to give yourself room in your build. And they put a 40-60. That's exactly what they did to fix their problem. Your problem is when you connect the wire to theirs. That is now your problem. That has nothing to do with the pump. So this is why you got to understand A, B, and C. Hopefully that helps you guys. It's a longer video than I thought it would be. Take care. Have a great day. Hopefully your day is better than mine.